This video is all about multiplying decimals. I'm going to show you a method that will help increase your accuracy when multiplying decimals. It's one of the best methods that I've come across, which can help any student to understand the pattern that occurs when decimals are multiplied. The first one I'm going to look at is where you multiply a decimal number, which in this case is going to be 2.6 by a whole number, by 4. When you're just timesing by a whole number, a decimal by a whole number, you can simply use your column method as per normal. So 2.6 times by 4. Okay, first of all, take each column at a time. So although that is actually 6/10, you're going to times 6 by 4, which is 24. Now, because there is one decimal place, you would have your decimal point in line. You are going to put the 4. And then you are going to carry the 2 of the 24 across into the units column. Now you've dealt with the 6/10, you're going to do 4 times 2. Well, we know that 4 times 2 is 8, and it will be 8 units. You're then going to add the 2 units that were created from the 4 times 6/10. So the answer would be 10.4, because you've created 10 units and a 4/10. Now, the second one we're going to look at is where you actually times a decimal by another decimal. So for this one, we're going to use 2.4 times 2.7. Now, because we are timesing decimal parts together, the best method that I can advise you to use is where you would actually change those decimals into whole numbers. So what we're going to do is we're going to times by 10 the 2.7, and we're going to times by 10 the 2.4. If we times 2.7 by 10, it would become 27, because this 2 units would become a 20, and the 7/10 would move into the units column and would become 7 units. We're then going to times the 2.4 by 10. So again, the 4/10 would become 4 units, and the 2 units would become 20. So therefore, we have a new sum, 24 by 27. Because you know how to times whole numbers, you would then just use your whole number multiplication method. So therefore, you would write it out, and it would be 24 times 27. So I'm going to get a bit of space here. So now I've got some space. I'm going to do 24 times 27. Okay, first of all, I'm going to times 24 by the 7. So 7 times 4 is 28. So I'm going to put the 8 down and carry the 2 10s across that I've made. I'm then going to do 7 times the 2, which is 14, plus the 2 here, which is 16. But because really I was timesing 7 by 20, that's why really the value is 16 tens. So that's why it becomes 168. Now I've dealt with that one, I'm now going to deal with the 20. So really this next one is 24 times 20. Now, because I'm going to deal with it as if it's a single digit, but it isn't really. It actually has the value of 10. So therefore I'm going to put a place value holder to make sure that my final answer is 10 times bigger. I'm going to treat it like it's a single digit though, so therefore 2 times 4 is 8, and then 2 times 2 is 4. So actually my answer is 480 for 24 times 20. Then what I do, I add them both together, so therefore 8 plus 0 is 8. This 2 I'd already used before, so it would probably have helped if I'd crossed that out earlier, as soon as I'd added it, so that I'd got rid of it and it wouldn't confuse me. Now I've crossed it out, it's going to be 6 plus 8, which is 14, so I'm going to put down the 4 and then carry the 10 part over. Then I've got 4 add 1, add the extra 1 at the bottom, which is 6. I was going to write 5, but it's actually 6. So 24 times 27 is 648. Now, because I turned my original decimal sum into whole numbers, I need to now convert my answer back into a decimal. Now I can look back at the original sum, which was 2.4 times 2.7. Now I know that I times them both by 10 in order to change them into whole numbers. So what I would then need to do is divide my answer by 100. So I need to make it 10 times smaller and then 10 times smaller again, which is the same as dividing by 100. So 648 divided by 100, well, each would move back 2 places. So therefore I would put my decimal point just after the 6, because the 600 would become a unit, and so on. Another way to look at it is, if you look back at the original sum, there is 1 decimal place on this number, 1 decimal place on this number, so therefore my answer needs to have the same amount. So it needs to have 2, just like there were 2 decimals in the original sum. The next sum we're going to look at is 1.34 times 0.9. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that they're whole numbers, so therefore I'm going to take out that decimal point, I'm going to get rid of it. This is then going to become 134, and I'm going to times that by 9. I don't really need that 0 there, because it just has the value of 9. The 0 just means there's nothing in there. I'm then going to multiply that using my column method, so 134 times 9. 9 times 4 is 36, so I'm going to put down the 6, carry the 3 tens across. 9 times 3 tens is 27, plus the 3 tens that I'd carried across is 30, so I'm going to put my 0, get rid of that, and the 3 is going to go across. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 3 is 12, so 134 times 9 would be 1,206. The next thing I have to do is make sure that my answer has the same number of decimal places that my original question did. So in the original question, there were 2 decimals on the first number and another decimal on the second number. Therefore, I need 1, 2, 3 decimal places in there. So my decimal point would go in front of the 2 and behind the 1. So my final answer would be 1.206. Alternatively, you can recognise that when you made this into a whole number, you times it by 10. When you made this number into a whole number, you times it by 100. So therefore, you need to do the opposite to your answer. So you have to divide by 1,000, which is why you need 3 decimal places, because all the digits are going to move 3 places down the place value columns. The final sum we're going to look at is 2.76 times 1.7. First of all, I'm going to pretend that those decimals aren't there, so I'm going to make them into whole numbers. So my new sum is going to be 276 times 17. Really what I've done to that one is times it by 10 to make it, instead of being 1.7, to become 17. And this one, again, I've times by 100 so that it becomes 276. I'm then going to work it out as a whole number, so I'm going to put 276 times it by 17. I'm going to complete my units first, so 7 times 6 is 42, so I'm going to put down the 2, carry the 4. 7 times 7 is 49, plus the 4, which is 53. I'm going to get rid of that, so I know and put the 5 down. 7 times 2 is 14, plus the 5 is 19. Now I've dealt with that one, I'm going to deal with the 10 part here. Now because it's a 10, I know I need to put a place value holder because my answer is going to be 10 times bigger than what I'm going to do now, which is treat it like it's a single digit. So 1 times 6 is 6, 1 times 7 is 7, 1 times 2 is 2. Therefore, 10 times 276 is 2,760. I just need to add those together. So 2 plus nothing is 2, 3 plus 6 is 9, 9 plus 6, plus 7, sorry, is 16. So I'm going to put the 6 down, carry that extra 10 across, and then 2 plus 1 is 3, plus that one, extra one there, which is 4. Now I've worked it out as a whole number, I need to then convert it back into a decimal. So if I look at my original sum, I've got 2 decimal places on that number, 1 more on that number, that means there's 3 in total, so I'm going to need 3 in my answer. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to put my decimal point in. So my final answer should be 4.692. If you'd rather look at the times in, I times this number by 10, this number by 100, so I need to do the opposite to my answer, so I need to divide it by 1,000. So everything is going to move back 3 places, so instead of being 4,000, it's going to be just 4, and everything else is going to shift down with it.